Okay, so sorry for anybody joining us. Not in real time. I missed the first recording the first part, but that was just intro. But so now we get into the actual, super not not that everything else wasn't important, but this is now something pertinent and important directly to the program. So important dates, May 19th, that is in 5 days from now. That is the start of the administrative semester. Well, it's term for summer. But this is also the soft launch of courses on Coursera. So at the university, there's two kind of starts to each term. There's the administrative start, um, like for summer administratively starts on the 18th because spring term ends tomorrow. And then the summer administrative term opens. And then a week later is when classes start. And so that is mimicked for fall and spring as well, in terms of the administrative start of the term is 1 week before the start of instruction. So when I say the start of the term is May 9th of the semester is May 19th, that means administrative, and then that aligns with the soft launch of courses on Coursera. May 20th is the last day to submit SHIP waiver. So that's student health insurance plan. There is a $75 late fee. And I've sent reminders, I believe. And so there still is an opportunity. I think April 1st through May 1st is can submit without a late fee. And then May 2nd through the 20th, you submit a waiver, but there is a $75 late fee. Anything after that is not even considered. And May 20th is also the last day to complete your Coursera orientation, the that module. And that's important because you cannot enroll in any classes until you finish that Coursera orientation. So if you have any issues, just reach out to the Mass E inbox. As any issues come up, and if possible, you can screenshot what you see so that we can help troubleshoot. And in the meantime, Elaine mentioned she typed this out. Elaine from Santa Clara. She had pet lobsters as a child, and no, I did not eat them. I had to give them away. Aw, um, that's funny. Pet lobsters. Um, thank you, Elaine. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so May 19th, start of the administrative start of this term and the start of the law soft launch, which means you get access to all the courses you're enrolled in. So you have to enroll in them first on Cal Central. Then there's a data sync that happens so that it usually happens overnight. So that, if you're enrolled in, I don't know, engine 1, 2, 3 or whatever class, then there's an update that happens, and then the next day you should be able to see those materials on Coursera. And so that's a soft launch. It's kind of like shopping. So you can take a look at the materials and decide if you want to keep the class or not. And then May 20th, like I said, is the last day to submit a SHIP waiver. That's health insurance, and to complete the Coursera orientation. May 22nd, tuition and fees are due. And then May 26th is the first official day of instruction. And so this is the beginning of instructional support. And then this is also the last day to drop a course and receive a 100% refund. So this is important because that is why we have the soft launch, so that you can kind of poke around, click through, get familiar with the materials and say, oh, I've had some students that say, oh, this class is below, it's too introductory. And then there's others that have been maybe too high level. So the soft launch is the perfect place to kind of get a feel for the classes. And then within that week, make a decision as to what you want to keep and what you don't want to keep. So the last day to drop any classes is that first day of instruction and get a refund. Um, And then August 15th is the last day. Sorry, that's 14th. Let me, I just, that's the 14th. And that's the last day of the summer semester, aka semester term. And that's the final day to complete assignments in that semester's courses. And so what happens the week, what is this soft launch? This is the week before classes. Again, it opens 19th and then May 19th. Instruction starts May 26th, or I mean, it's all asynchronous. So it's not like you're going to attend a class at a certain date and time, but that's when, again, that's when the instruction starts for our residential programs, which is mimicked in terms of the what timelines and fees kick in after the first day of this instruction cycle. And again, use the soft launch to test out classes and make adjustments. Again, it's the last opportunity to drop classes with a 100% refund. I would say start off with a small number of classes since this is your first term. You can always add more later in the semester. But one quick note, caveat, if you will, you can add classes up through the fifth week of each term. It's a little bit different for summer, but if you find that you can't enroll for whatever reason, reach out to us and we can do it manually on our end. And then, so for fall and spring, anything after week 5 will need to go through us, and certainly anything added late into the term also would need to go through us for adding and dropping. And so there are students who during fall and spring and summer who decide maybe midway through that they're not going to complete the course. I confirm with them that they want to drop it, even though that would mean, being prorated for partial or all the fees. And then I go ahead and make that, or anybody from our team can make that change. So we recommend you look through course readings and if there are any textbooks you need to rent or purchase, just to kind of review to understand, the whole scope of the class of what's needed in that course. There's also Coursera deadlines. So these are deadlines suggestions and they're set by Coursera to help you pace yourself. We also have to adjust those when we're mapping the courses on to we have to find a way for the process to for Berkeley to send over the data transfer information to Coursera. Um, it's sorry, yeah, so there's deadlines that are required. Um, but these are just suggestions, as I said. So as long as you submit all of your material, let me update this one again. By August 14th, that's that Friday, 2026, then you should be fine. But of course, the suggestions are helpful so that all the work isn't piled up towards the end. It's meant to kind of help break things up in manageable chunks so that you're not overwhelmed at the end. But again, the only deadline you must worry about coursework is August 14th, the final day of the term, and the last day coursework will be accepted for grading. There are peer reviews. Not all courses, I believe, institute this, but make sure you get any peer reviews in time with enough time for classmates to utilize the feedback. Again, because these deadlines are only suggestions, if there is peer reviews that are required, you want to give that person enough time um, so that they can get their end done, and vice versa. If somebody's asking you to review, that they don't send it, I don't know, August 12th and have 2 days to submit it. So, and if you don't receive peer reviews right away, don't hold back. Don't let it hold back. Don't let it hold you back from advancing through the rest of the course. So I believe you can still do other modules in each course. Just it's important to make sure you're still on track and always reach out to us if you have any questions that come up um, on Coursera, especially. In terms of UC Berkeley deadlines, students can enroll directly in classes, and then any ads after, I think, week two. But again, summer is a little bit different. So if you find that you can't add a course, just reach out to us and it will be processed by our staff. And yeah, so I just want to make very, very clear that after dropping a class after a certain date may prevent a refund. And dropping all classes will mean withdrawing. So I'll share these slides with you all so you can take a look. But let me just drop this link that was hyperlinked in there, and that is the university policy on refunds after withdrawal. And then also here's if you need any accommodations, there's a disabled students program on campus. Please make sure to review it and go through their processes if you need any kind of accommodations, like I said, to help you access the material the way any other student would. And make sure to let your instructor know as well. Follow up with us for any questions. Um, and oh, I want to clear up what withdrawal means in the university setting. So just recently, I had a student reach out asking me to drop a class that he wasn't going to complete or wanted to drop. He was only enrolled in one class. So unfortunately, the staff cannot drop that class because then that would mean he's withdrawing. So if you are enrolled in one class and want to drop it, that means you would have to initiate a withdrawal from the university for that term. If you do not finish your first term, so if you have to leave at some point, hopefully not during the summer, please let me know. We would have to probably initiate a late with deferral, because university policy is that a student must first finish that first term after admission, and then so say, you know, you're starting summer 2026, you enroll, you finish, even if it's just one course, then in fall you can cancel your registration, which means that you're just not enrolled for the summer. You would have to reach back out to us to make sure that you can re-enroll for the next term, but there wouldn't be any administrative issue. So it is very important that you finish your first term so that then you have the flexibility to, decide not to enroll later. So say you're enrolled summer 2026, you finish the courses that you enroll in, then you enroll in fall 26, but say something comes up for spring 27 and or the next summer, because summer is not mandatory that you enroll, you can take it off and then come back without any big administrative hurdles. But the real key thing is that you must finish that first term, and then you're eligible to cancel any future terms and on an ad hoc basis, or to just cancel saying, oh, I don't want to take classes this term. So it's important that you finish the first term. And then also, if you're ever enrolled in just one unit and want to drop that, let us know and I can walk you through the withdrawal process, but that must be initiated by the student. And then reminders and getting support. So the general questions about program, campus, or academic progress, you can email us at mass-e-support@berkeley.edu. Please allow for a 48-hour response time. We should have a couple more people on staff that can help, but we want to make sure that we give kind of a 2-day grace period, because we're also running our residential program, but we do keep track, and anything urgent we'll certainly prioritize. Then there are going to be issues that are Coursera specific that we can't really we don't really have insight in. So they do have technical support, and that's at degree-students at coursera.org. For any questions, like instructional questions, we do have course discussion forums. You've all been added to the Slack channel, right? Yes, Slack. And then we will also share who the TAs are. At Berkeley, we call them graduate student instructors, GSIs. Oh, and then this is, yes. So, and then in terms of remote peer support, there are course discussion forums. I think these are both part of on Coursera. And then we also have that Slack channel, which you've all been added to. So, and if there's any feedback you want to provide, you can always email us. And so that's it on my end for the things that I want to share right now. I've also made sure to schedule emails and reminders. So I want to make sure that you all have all the information you need. Um, but right now, I'm happy to open up the floor for any questions you all have. Um, yeah, so the rest of the time is yours to ask questions.
I have a question. So when is there a time when you have to withdraw from a class and then on your transcript it doesn't affect your GPA, so you get like a W? When does that occur?
So that doesn't, so if you withdraw from a class, it just won't be included in your transcript. So there will be administratively, like in our behind the scenes reports that we run, there will be a W issued, but that won't show up on your transcript.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Other questions?
I have a question.
Mhm.
So I took the orientation from Coursera, and
Yes.
there's a part that talks about the academic residency requirement.
Yes.
So it says we have to take at least 4 class units for at least 2 semesters. Can you give a little bit more information about that?
Absolutely. Thank you. And I should incorporate that into our slide deck. So yes, so this is it is a university requirement. It's called academic residence, which doesn't have to has nothing to do with like your immigration or where you do your taxes or anything like that. It is setting a residence with the university. So there is a requirement for this program that requires at least two for students in at least 2 terms to reach 4 units in order to meet that academic residency. And that could be, and they don't have to be in any order. They can be in whatever order you decide. So, for example, it can be, I don't know, the third term that you've enrolled in classes for. So it'll be 4 1 unit courses. We are thinking of maybe changing some classes to 2 units, but that's still to be determined. And then your last term can be, well, the last one of your last terms would be your the capstone course, which is 2 units. So in that course, you would take a capstone and then for 2 units, and then maybe you could take 2 additional classes to meet that 4 unit requirement. But yes, thank you, Elaine. That is a requirement. It's 4 units, at least 2 terms that you're enrolled in for the duration of the program. And that is a requirement that comes from campus.
Thank you.
Yes, great question. Any other questions, concerns, things that are unclear
Yeah, I'm a little confused about that. So you're saying that I have to take 4 terms or 4 classes,
for 2 terms?
if you're not a resident, or if you're a resident, or what
So
is it?
again, that has nothing to do with like being a resident of California or anything like that. So I can draw up it's have you gone through the orientation on Coursera, David?
Yeah, I have. But I'm enrolled for 3 classes.
Yes. So let me go to our, let me see, grad dashboard, and I'll look up that policy so that, let me see, resources forms to sign in. But yeah, I'm happy to clear that up so that there is no confusion moving forward. And again, this is a requirement of campus academic residency. Okay. So, do, 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 do. Let me share this. And I can link this too. You all should have access to this. So this is the guide to graduate policy. So academic residence is defined as payment of registration and enrollment in at least 4 units in 100 or 200 series courses each semester of academic residence. And then we're including the summer sessions as well. So because of the structure for this specific program, a master's degree requires a minimum of 2 semesters of academic residence with variations as follows. So master's degree, 2 semesters of academic residence. So this is the one that is applicable to all of you because you're not enrolled in 2 separate degrees or a concurrent degree or a master and a doctoral degree. So do, do, do. And so this is a little bit so this is made general enough for residential students as well as our students, but because summer sessions, the way that it is for residential students, there's session A through E, and they're each different. Um, they start and end at different times. But for you all, we've aggregated the summer sessions into just one long 12-week period. Um, so anyway, so that is what academic residence is. It is a payment of registration fees and enrollment in at least 4 units in 100 or 200 series courses each semester of academic residence. And that is a requirement by the university, like I said.
So I
So
have to take four classes instead of 3.
for not if you can't if you want this term, that's fine. But at some point in the duration of your program, you must complete 4 units, at least 2 terms of 4 units. It could be this month, it can be this term, it could be fall, it could be spring, and then the next one could be at any other point of the program.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Thank you. That was good. I'm glad that it can be tricky. And thank you, Maritzi. She linked the policy in the chat. Other questions? Anything unclear? Anything that came up in the orientation session
I have a
on Coursera?
question.
Mhm.
So off of what you just said, and I saw in the Slack that some classes might be more than 1 unit. Will that go into effect now so we can see like the 4 units that you just mentioned, the policy?
So that yeah, so that's still in the works. It hasn't been it wouldn't change anything for summer. Not
Mhm.
sure if it would change anything for fall, but right now the only course that's 2 units is the capstone. But you can't enroll in the capstone until you have at least, I believe, 14 or 16 units that you have completed, and then you have substantial work under you that then you can undertake the capstone course.
Okay.
But if anything changes, we will be communicating that. But as of now, all classes are 1 unit, save for the capstone unit that you would take once you have, X amount of, I think it's like either 14 or 16 units under your belt.
I have a follow-up question to that. So what happens if we go ahead and take a class and it changes more than 1 unit, goes into like 2 units, right? And but we already completed that course. Will that be reflected saying that okay, we have 2 units already? Like so
So
uh,
that's saying that you took, I don't know, engine 239, one
yeah.
term, it was 1 unit, and then the next term it would be 2 units. No,
Yeah.
it would not be reflected. And I'm not, again, this has only been in discussion. I don't think that anything has changed. And I don't think it would change if that happened, because in order to be 2 units, it would probably change the curriculum in terms of how many assignments are added to account for that extra unit. So once you take a class at whatever credit level you took it, it would stay at that unit, even if that class changes in the future.
Okay, great. And by any chance, if you have a chance to drop the link to the courses in the chat offered this summer, I lost that link. If you could, please.
Yeah, so it should also be in your emails, but I can drop it in here too. What was it? It's list of courses,
Thank you.
or where are you? Now let's see, summer 2026 courses. Of course, it's not coming up. I know I just had it, so I linked it in. Here we go. I linked it in here. Okay, summer 2026 offerings. Okay, copy link. Okay, there you go. And then it should also be in your emails, something about, I don't know, summer 2026 courses. Let me just go into the Mass E inbox and let me summer 2026 courses. This is, and yeah, so in the email titled Summer 20, oh no, important next steps, there we go. This email, important next steps for your Mass E-Journey plus Summer 2026 courses. Go ahead and star that in your email so that it's easy for you to refer to.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Other questions? Bontel, maybe you're off mute right now. Okay. So I'm going to share. No, Vontel, we can't hear you. Or I can't. Could anybody? I saw you were
No, I
on.
can't hear you either.
Yeah.
So.
No, thank you. Thank you for co-signing, Elaine. I saw you were off mute, but we didn't hear anything. And here are the slides. So if you're having audio issues, Vontel, maybe you can type it into the chat. So the orientation for Coursera, I don't know what you all see. So was it Elaine? You were the one that asked about the academic summary question. So you went through the orientation. How did you access that? Was it just on Coursera popped up?
Yeah, I just logged in and it was already there in my courses to take. So it was already on my screen.
Okay, so it should come up for you in your courses to take, Bontel. If you don't see that, take a screenshot and email that degree dash students at Coursera. Email them and you can CC me. That hasn't happened for me, and I've already been able to register for courses. So yes, why don't you email degree-students at coursera.org and CC me and send a screenshot just so that we understand what's going on. There's a lot of glitches that happen, and so we have been working with Coursera to iron those out. So, but if you've already been able to register for courses, it might be fine. But I just want to make sure to get ahead of it before the soft launch happens, because I will be out of office next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if anything happens, I want to make sure I get to it either by tomorrow or early on Monday, because we will be our master's students are graduating on Monday, so most of the day will be dedicated to our reception and then our ceremony as well. So just go ahead and email that as soon as you can. Thank you, thank you. Okay, any other questions?
I had one more question. May be off topic, but basically, I was looking into the benefits of being a Berkeley student with transportation, and I noticed that there's like a card that you get to get onto BART or anything for transportation is included. Do we get that perk?
I do not believe that's part of your fees. So those are fees for residential students. So that means that they're local to the area. But why don't you email me separately and then I can confirm that separately. But
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
because I am
you
local to the area, so I am from San
mhm.
Francisco. So I mean, I wanted to know if I could get that, and then also, are we allowed to get student ID cards as well?
Yes, you can have a student ID card, because you would be a student. You are a student at Berkeley. It's just, a lot of people would not because they're not local. So why don't you
Mhm.
email me separately about that, and then I can follow up about that. I think it's called like the transit pass or something
Yeah,
like that.
transit pass. Yeah.
But because this program is a self-supporting program, there's some fees that are different from the either professional or academic
Okay.
labeled. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because
email me
I looked
separately.
into like the programs that are not required, and I didn't see our program that was, in that list where we couldn't get it. So that's why I wanted to ask, because, I definitely want to take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So email me separately and then I'll figure it out.
Great. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? And if you think of any, just feel free to email the not the fung, the Mass E inbox. This is relatively a new program, so this is only what started in fall 24. So this is kind of completing this 2 years, and then the Fung Institute has only taken this on since fall 2025. So there's still a lot of things that we're kind of working out, and we really appreciate you all being kind of the leaders and kind of testers of this program, and your feedback would really help in making the program even stronger. But yeah, so if I'll leave another couple minutes for questions, but if there are no more, I could go ahead and close out. And then David, I'll follow up with you separately. And then anybody else who has questions, feel free to email mass-e-support@berkeley.edu. Vontel, let me know, what you see so that I can make sure that there isn't anything weird that's going to happen. But yeah, any other questions? All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and really appreciate all your patience, and really look forward to getting you started in this term. And again, don't hesitate to email our inbox if anything comes up, and wish you all the best. Soft launch starts in 5 days, and I again reach out if anything comes up. All right, folks, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.